What is up, everybody? We are rolling audio here today on episode 64 of The Hotter Show. How the hell are you? I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you're having an absolutely phenomenal weekend so far. Thank you so much for tuning in, clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. We are back up and running after the mishaps from last week. I do apologize again for anybody who was looking forward to the podcast last Sunday there, but unfortunately, technical issues cannot be avoided. Unfortunately, the producer, Brandon Bowden, his computer is still down. It is a pretty nasty situation. So until further notice, I'm going to be going back to editing the podcast myself. Unfortunately, because I was really loving how they were sounding and that kind of thing. And unfortunately, I just don't have the program to make them sound that nice and the skill and that kind of thing. So I will do my best. But if you guys notice a pretty big drop in audio quality, I do apologize. Brandon has the not only the producer know-how from being an actual radio producer, but he also has the better programs and that kind of thing. And I used friggin' Audacity for free. So, I mean, I can't really complain too much. It's pretty great. Works for what I need, but it's still a bit of a bummer that this has all happened. But obviously, hopefully Brandon can get his stuff figured out very soon. I hope that he can, because I know that he uses it for a lot more than just editing this damn podcast. So hopefully he gets that all figured out. But I am still here. I'm still rocking and rolling, and I've got a very interesting podcast for you guys today. I'm going to be discussing, to me, my point of view on people who are adrenaline junkies, and people who love roller coasters, base jumping, bungee jumping, skydiving, and that kind of thing, and just why I am definitely not that, which was the title of this podcast. And also talking about, I guess in a way, my fear of them, in a sense. And I go pretty in-depth with that and tell a couple stories and that kind of thing. Hopefully you guys get some laughs out of it. I had a couple smiles and laughs while I was just going back through to edit it. Just some of the stuff I was talking about and the stories I was telling, I think it's pretty funny. Funny things happen to me, so that's one reason why I have this podcast, because I just have funny stories of things that happen to me. And I also talk near the end about horror movies and kind of my dislike for them as well, and why, and that kind of thing. I actually literally scare the crap out of myself near the end of this thing. And you guys don't understand what I mean. I was like hearing voices in my headphones and that kind of thing, talking about horror movies and that kind of thing. I don't know why. I have what I like to call a very hyperactive imagination, and I will explain a little bit more in depth near the end of the podcast. There was this weird sound that was coming through my headphones. It's this weird sound. I don't know what it is. It's something interfering with my interface or my computer or something, and it's a very weird sound. It's got to be from a cell phone tower or something like that, but it's this very weird sound, and just at that moment it sounded like voices. I don't know. I was going to leave it in. I wasn't going to edit it out because I stopped talking so I could kind of pay attention to what it was. But I ended up leaving it out. But maybe I should have left it in. It's a very annoying sound, but I swear it sounded like voices. So it's pretty funny. So I kind of get a little scatterbrained near the end, more so than usual. But I think it's pretty hilarious. So I wanted to leave that part in. And yeah, just I talk about that. Talk a little bit about like what it means to be an adrenaline junkie and why I don't understand they are the way they are. But that's because I am not one. So if you're one of those people, feel free to comment at any time to let me know, maybe your point of view on things, and let me know, if you love roller coasters and horror movies and all that kind of stuff. Be sure to let me know. I always love to chat with you guys. Anytime anyone comments, I will always respond, because I love to talk with you guys. I love the interaction. That's the number one reason why I'm doing this podcast. So never hesitate to comment or anything like that, or hit me up on Facebook, or hit me up on the Twitter, or hit me up on the Instagram or Snapchat or anything like that at all. Always game to chat with you guys and hang out. And hey, even if you have ideas for stuff you'd like me to talk about, hit me up. I'm always game for new topics to talk about and that kind of thing, because I don't cover world news or anything. So I always have stuff to talk about. So definitely hit me up if you ever have any ideas, or you want to talk about anything that I talked about today on the podcast. Be sure to hit me up. That's going to do it for this intro here today, guys. We're going to press play on this podcast. Let's get into it. So we're hanging out, guys. We're hanging out today, and I have a question for you guys. It's pretty simple to me. I mean, it makes sense to me, and maybe that's why I'm crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe I have a couple screw looses. Maybe I'm just not fun. I don't know. But why do people enjoy? Let me just set this here for you. Why do people enjoy being strapped into a little cart? Okay, well, you cannot escape from, being hoisted up, God knows how high in the air, and then being straight dropped down, and then looped around in rails and so forth, and going like God knows how fast, and going upside down and flying all around and feeling anti-gravity and all that stuff, and just why do people enjoy that? How do people enjoy that? I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm, of course, talking about roller coasters. Some of you may or may not know that I personally hate roller coasters. Let me explain. I'm not a coward. I'm not a big baby. Okay? I do not like roller coasters for a couple very serious and I think logical reasons. But there's some things that just I don't get it, and I'm going to talk about it, and I want to talk about it, and I almost wanted to talk about it with someone who was kind of an adrenaline junkie, but no one I know who's an adrenaline junkie was available today, so we're just talking about it from one side here. But if you guys are into that kind of thing, please feel free to buzz in at any time and comment, because I just don't get it. When I was young, many years ago, I went on a roller coaster for the very first time. I was probably about, I want to say 5, somewhere in that ballpark, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. And I went on this roller coaster with my mother, and it was this old wooden roller coaster. I cannot remember the name of it, but let's just say it was a horrendous first experience. We go on, and we get up, and we start going, and it's old and crankly, and it's noisy, and it's crackling as we're going up the thing, and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening right now? We get up to the very top, and then there's a malfunction, and we have to sit there for, I think it was about 10-15 minutes, and then basically, from what I can recall, they're like, yeah, so we're going to just let you guys go. Yeah, we're not sure what's going on. And they just kind of let us go. And we were fine, obviously. We were okay. But after we got off, like, people were freaking out on them. And I was like, well, what are they freaking out for? It's a roller coaster. What I didn't know was that basically, I guess one of the cables had snapped. The cable that, like, kind of, like, guides us through or something snapped. And yeah, it was apparently extremely dangerous for us to be on that ride. And they should have stopped it and done something. I don't know what, but that's irrelevant. So the first time I was ever on a roller coaster, it malfunctioned, and we could have died, I guess, from what I understand of that. Maybe I have my facts wrong, but that's how 7-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old TJ remembers it. I was probably a little older than that, actually, but that's irrelevant. So it was horrible. Getting on the roller coaster for the first time. It was a pretty serious roller coaster, too. Like, it wasn't like some kiddie BS. It was a pretty serious roller coaster. And we're going up and down and looping around and and it was just horrible. Like, I was sick to my stomach. I felt just this overwhelming terror, and I was crying. I was just, it messed me up for days. I did not enjoy it at all. And of course, chalk that up to being young, I guess. And it was just, it was not fun. And I pretty much feel that way about a lot of things that are, I guess, adrenaline junkie-esque, if that makes any sense. You're never going to see TJ jumping out of a damn plane. Okay? It's just not going to happen. But that's a little irrelevant right now, because we're talking about roller coasters. Going on roller coasters and that, it's the way I'm always explained to it is like, oh dude, like it's fun. It gives us an adrenaline rush, and you have to do it, and you have to not think about the fact that, there is some dangers involved. And basically when you go on these rides, you're basically saying, okay, if something goes wrong, I'm gonna die. I mean, really. And you're cool with that. And that's fine. I totally get it. My wonderful girlfriend is a massive roller coaster enthusiast. And, I totally get it. It's this whole thing of, yes, you get this adrenaline rush from it. And she says it's this feeling that I feel like I can take on the entire world when I get off. And I'm like, okay, right on. That's amazing. I'm so glad that you, and I'm sure most of the world, get that feeling from roller coasters and from base jumping and stuff like that. Stuff that some people would look and go, haha, screw that. People who climb friggin' scaffolding and skyscrapers and like take pictures of themselves, and people who hang off the side of buildings and who jump out of planes and that kind of thing. It's just, it's not for me. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because I can understand why people enjoy it. I just do not. The feeling of adrenaline that people talk about when they talk about kind of why they enjoy things like that, it just I don't get it from that. And maybe there's something wrong with me. I'm not saying people who enjoy that kind of thing that there's something wrong with them or that they're actually crazy. I am joking when I say that, but it's just not for me, folks. Am I boring? I don't think I'm boring. I like a lot of other stuff. I just don't like being strapped into a little cart and flying around with no control over what I'm doing. I think that's the key here. Is me personally, I like being in control of the situations I put myself in. It doesn't really matter what it is. I prefer driving as opposed to being a passenger. That's just me personally. I prefer to be the wheelman than be sitting in the passenger seat. And that has nothing to do with the fact that, my friends or my girlfriend are bad drivers. They're wonderful drivers. They're all great drivers. I just would rather drive myself. It's just, I trust myself with a wheel in my hands. Not that I don't trust other people. It's just a personal preference. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe because I know I'm not in control of what's going on. It just messes with me. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that if something goes wrong, there's literally nothing I can do. And perhaps that's why. Maybe that's why I hate them. Maybe that's why I don't like putting myself in those situations. I think that makes perfect sense. I think it stems back to the point of I'm someone who I don't like to rely on people for stuff. And I've always been that way. I'd rather just do stuff myself. I'd rather just drive myself or whatever. So maybe, I'm going up to this roller coaster and this kid who I've never met before. Okay, I don't know what he does with his life. I don't know what's going on. And he's strapping me in this damn seat. And, what if he makes a mistake? Like, what if something happens? Like, damn, I don't know. Too many variables. I overthink everything. But like I said, maybe I'm the issue. Maybe I am the problem here, folks. But I don't, to me, that doesn't seem crazy when you look at it that way, as to why I do not like them. I can recall the first time I've gone on a roller coaster in a very long time, because I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it again. I was so against it, but I'm going to try it again. And that was a day that I will never forget, because it was the first time as an adult I tried a roller coaster again. And let's just say, as you can probably guess, it didn't go over very well. And I'm pretty sure my girlfriend is still mad at me for that. So I'll set the scene for you here, folks. Myself, my girlfriend, and a couple of her friends decide that for her birthday, for Sam's birthday, we're going to go to Canada's Wonderland for the day. Hallelujah. I drove, of course, because that's how I am. And I was all excited. I said, yeah, we're going to go up there. We're going to spend the entire day up there. We can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. We can go to the water park. We can do rides. We can hang out and eat friggin' popcorn. I don't care. Just let's go. Let's do it. It's going to be so much fun. So we get there, get our tickets and so on. And we go in and we take pictures in front of the fountain. And we, I think we kind of got some stuff and a drink or whatever. And we're kind of hanging out and we're walking around. And Sam goes, I want to go on a roller coaster like right away with you. I go, okay. Now, Sam, my wonderful, lovely girlfriend, who I love to death, knows damn well how much I hate roller coasters. How much I am, I guess you could say I am afraid of them. I don't like to say that, but I guess you could just say I'm a big pansy and I hate them because I don't enjoy them. But she goes, come on, like try it with me. I'll pick a good one. I'll pick one that's fun. I'll pick an easy one. It'll be great. Okay, cool. I trust her. Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? So we go stand in line. And I'm not feeling it right off the bat because I see how high this thing is. And the ride, it has this big kind of spiraling staircase to get up to it. And there's all these people online, and they're freaking out, and there's kids like crying at the front of the line because they don't want to go on the ride and stuff. And I'm like, okay, what the hell? What is this ride? I didn't catch the big, massive sign as we walked in to see what it was because I wasn't paying attention. So anyway, we go there, we're walking, finally get up to the top of the stairs, and I realize what I've gotten myself into. The first ride that my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend got me on for the first time in probably like 10 years. Her boyfriend, who is definitely afraid of roller coasters and hates them with a passion, she had me go on Leviathan, which was the first roller coaster I'd been on in a very long time. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, I know Leviathan isn't like the craziest roller coaster in the world or anything like that. But for someone who is a novice, for someone who does not like roller coasters, for someone who just does not like even the idea of being near roller coasters, imagine how that made me feel for a second to realize I'm going on Leviathan and there's nothing I can do at this point. Like, we are there. We're ready to get on. And I go, you know what? I'm not going to be a bitch. I'm going to just do this. This is for Sam. It's her birthday. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try so hard. Like, I'm going to just have fun. So we go, and she goes, oh, we're going to sit in the front. And I go, no, we're not. We're going to sit somewhere in the middle because I know how it works in the front and the back. And that was where I put my foot down. Maybe that was a bit of a dick move on my part, but I just went, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to sit in the front of the roller coaster right now. Okay, maybe the next one, but not this time. I'm like, please, like you have to give me that at least. She says, okay, whatever, big baby. So we sit down. Of course, she's next to me, and we start going. And I look down, which was I shouldn't have even looked down. I should have just closed my eyes the entire time. But I was like, you know what? I want to get over this fear I have. I want to do it, and I want to have fun. I wanted to like this so much. I wanted to love this. I said, I know how much she loves this, and I want to love it too. And that's admirable, I think. If your significant other or your partner or whoever, really loves something, you should make a serious effort to try and love it. Even if you tried a couple times, just give it a shot. You know what I mean? Obviously, there are certain things that does not apply to, but in this situation, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this a couple tries. So, we're going, and we're going, and we're going, and I go, holy crap, what is with this build-up? And she goes, this is Leviathan. So we're going, and 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 finally we get up to the top of the thing. But because we were like kind of in the middle, we don't see like the top, like we're kind of still hanging off the side. And I look around real quick and I go, so right now, if I fell, I would be dead. Like, no questions asked. I'd be dead. Nothing would break my fall. Nothing would catch me. I would fall and hit either pavement or a tree or a car or a person. God forbid I hit a person. They would explode into mist. So I'm freaking out. It immediately hits me. I'm freaking out. I go, I can't get out of this right now. I can't control what's going on. I can't get out of this. This is it. And she calms me down. It's okay. Like, you're fine. Everything's fine. This is going to be fun. And I'm like, yes, you're right. This is going to be fun. And she says, put your arms up. And I go, okay. So we start going. And this creak, 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 creak. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. At this point, I'm literally dying. I literally I feel sick to my stomach right now just thinking about this. And we start coming down and I mean, I blinked a couple times and it was over. But in that few seconds, the thoughts and the agony and despair that went through me. Oh, I wish I could have gotten that on film, because the faces I was making, the sounds I was making, there was no ah from me. There was no yells from me. There was no ah. There was nothing. It was just pure silence because I could not speak. That's how I felt. And there was just these gulps and gasps every once in a while. Because as I thought the ride was going to be slowing down, it did not slow down. It kept going. And she looked over at me a couple times. She's like, "You're fine. This is awesome. You're having fun. Put your hands up." Like, ah. And I'm just like, no. Mm-mm. So we come around kind of like the last bend. And this is a part where we literally are anti-gravity. We're floating in the air at this point. And I feel my seat kind of move and it goes clank. And it's fine. And I go, "What the hell was that?" She's like, "It's fine. It's just the seat." It just after this was when we stopped, obviously. And I go, "No, it shouldn't have done that. Should it have? That doesn't seem right to me." So the guy goes to move my seat and kind of jiggles it for a second and pushes it down and pops it and can't get the friggin' thing undone. So he finally pops it off. And then he kind of gave me this look. And I kind of looked down at my seat and I realized, I'm sure to this day, that my little thingy was not clicked in properly. I was fine. Nothing happened. Maybe I'm insane. But to me, the look he gave me said, "Dude, you could have died." And I'm like, oh. So, I just kind of brush it off and I get up and I immediately am I vertigo and I'm nauseous and my head is spinning and I have this feeling in my stomach I've never had before. And her friend's like, "Oh, that was awesome. That was so good. Do you feel the adrenaline?" And I'm like, "Oh, I feel it all right. I feel it all right." And they're all psyched and they're all pumped up and they're running around and they're jumping and they're having a grand old time. And then you got poor TJ. I'm just dying 1,000 deaths. I was in pain and my brain was just on overload and it was just not good for me, folks. So we go down the staircase and we're kind of standing there. And then, make a long story short, the rest of the day, TJ was pretty much incapacitated. The way I figure, the adrenaline, when it hit me, or whatever the hell, it just didn't do me any favors. And this feeling I had in my stomach, people go, "Oh, well, that's the adrenaline, that feeling in your stomach you have of just this feeling." And I'm like, I hope that's not what this good adrenaline is supposed to feel like. I feel like shit. And it had nothing to do with nausea or anything like that. That wasn't the case. It was nerves. I was throwing up all day and it was not a good time. It was a good time. Let me rephrase that. It was a good time. It was a great time. I'm so glad I did that. We ended up going on another roller coaster after that was much more tame, but I had a horrible experience on that one, and I'll tell you guys about that in a minute. But when we were we kind of took a bit of a break after Leviathan, because I was just, and I hate that I was like that. I hate that I was not mopey per se, but just I never had this feeling before. It was this feeling of just in the pit of my stomach, and it was just I couldn't even speak. I was just I don't even know what's wrong with me. And I later figured it was probably just my nerves, I guess. Looking back, it was probably just nerves, anxiety maybe. I don't friggin' know. But I realized very quickly, like, okay, you know what? If this is how I'm gonna feel every single time I do something like this, I'm not doing it again, because this is just like, I mean, the rest of the day I was just shot. Again, maybe I'm just a big bitch. I'm not saying I'm not, but it was just horrible, guys. I can't even explain it anymore. The day was wonderful, and I had so much fun after that. But that moment in time, that half-hour span, was just not fun. And I felt so bad, and I still feel bad about it, but it is what it is. At least I tried. Right, guys? I get an A for effort, kind of. Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so after the Leviathan experience, I kind of calm myself down, get a drink, replenish the electrolytes a little bit, and I go, okay, I'm sorry, I'm a bitch. What's next? She goes, okay, well, we'll go on a really tame one, I promise. Like, we'll go on one that's, like, actually really fun. And I go, okay, cool, I'm game. Now, I always say the ride was Top Gun, but she always corrects me, so I'm not sure what the ride was. But it's one where you come up, and I looked, and it's not that high off the ground. It took you sideways, and it had some loops and some side loops and stuff, and it was still pretty fast. And I was like, cool, that looks fun. I want to go on that ride. Let's go on that ride. So she's excited, of course, because I'm like, hey, I actually am excited to go on this roller coaster. So we go, and we're in line, and I'm watching this ride go around, and it goes around, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, this looks doable for me. I don't think I'm going to have a hard time with this at all. This is going to be so much fun. I was actually so excited, guys. So we go, and I realize this is kind of like a stand-up ride, and then your legs kind of dangle or whatever the hell. I feel like it was Top Gun, but maybe I'm mistaken. It's at Canada's Wonderland, so if you guys know the ride, let me know. So we go and get in the seat. Of course, she sits next to me. And the girl who was putting our seat stuff down or whatever, I mean, she just had this look on her face of just, like, she hated her life, obviously, and that's whatever. That's her business. But she goes and, now, folks, I'm a fat guy, okay? If for some reason you don't know, I am a fat guy. And sometimes being a fat guy, it puts me in predicaments that most people just can't relate to. So I go on this ride, and it had like a harness that kind of clicked down and then strapped you in. So she clicks the thing down, and it won't quite go down all the way over my chest. Now, I've never had anything like that happen before. That sucked. And it was embarrassing, because I was like, okay, am I like that? Am I moobs that big? And she's like pushing it, and she finally gets the thing down, and I could see that there was different kind of like settings on it. So she finally pushes it down like all the damn way and straps me into this ride. Now, I'm standing there, and I'm excited. I'm nervous, I'm anxious, but I'm excited overall. And then she pushes the thing down, and I can't breathe. Like, I can't breathe. I'm not joking around here. That's my bad. That's my fault. You know what I'm saying? That's not on anybody else, but I couldn't breathe before the ride started. So it's tight on my chest, like really tight. It's tight around my gut. It was just this uncomfortable feeling. And of course, Sam, oh, you comfortable? You good? And I'm like, I'm not going to be like, no, I'm not. Get me off this damn ride. I'm like, yeah, no, like, I want to do this. I was excited. So ride starts, and it starts up a pretty good pace, and we start going, and we're doing loops, and we're doing all this stuff, and it was fun. And I was like, oh, this is great. This is the one we should have started with. This is fun. And about halfway through the ride, I realize I haven't been breathing, because I've been like, oh yeah, whatever. And I start like hyperventilating, because I realize I'm like, okay, like, I haven't breathed in like a few seconds. I need to breathe, and I go to breathe, and I can't breathe. Like, nothing's happening. My chest cannot expand to let my lungs expand to bring the air into my body. So I start freaking out, like bad. And it just was right when the ride stopped. And this particular ride, it stops and it kind of sits for a second before they let you off. And I'm like turning blue. I'm like having a panic attack. Maybe that's why I was turning blue. I don't know. I'm freaking out. Sam's like concerned because I'm like literally freaking out. I'm like, get me off this fucking ride. I can't breathe. Like, I literally cannot breathe right now. You need to get me off this ride. I am going to pass out. I cannot breathe. So finally they get us off this ride. And when the thing unclicks, it's like this release of air. I was just like, "Bleh." It was horrible. And that's not the ride's fault. That's not anyone's fault but my own. But I mean, it sucked. Because I was like, okay, so am I just too fat to go on roller coasters? And of course, Sam assured me that's not the case. It was just that one. Like, it was just a little tight, whatever. So I feel like crap again afterwards. And it was just not fun. I hated myself that day. I let my nerves get the better of me. And I was just sick to my stomach all day and all that kind of BS. So that sucked. I am not a fun person to go to amusement parks with, unfortunately. I don't like that I'm like that, but it is what it is, folks. That's my problem. Everyone has their things, am I right? You know, everyone has their stuff, you know, that they don't like. Mine happens to be roller coasters, and it happens to be just stuff that is like that. People who are adrenaline junkies are people who like to be scared. But we will get into that in a little bit. It boggles my mind. Again, people will say, oh, well, it's this feeling you get where you feel like you can take on the world and all that kind of stuff and blah, 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 blah. Talked about that enough in the earlier parts of the podcast here, but I say, well, this feeling you're talking about, I don't get that from doing these types of things. I just don't. I get this feeling of pain and like it's just, I don't like it. I don't get that feeling. And they go, oh, well, you're weird. It's your problem. And it is my problem. But the things, they say, well, what do you get? Like, how do you get that kind of thing then? Like, what to you gives you that feeling? Well, doing things like the live cast, doing things like talking in front of a big crowd of people, doing things like doing karaoke in front of people or playing guitar in front of people. Basically any kind of live performance aspect of any kind gives me that feeling. It's not a bad nervous feeling. It's a good feeling. It's a few weeks ago, I went to a bar with some friends and my wonderful girlfriend and so forth, and there's karaoke. Now, I do enjoy karaoke when I'm with my friends and we're in my buddy's basement and we're all hammered and we're singing karaoke. Whatever, it's a good time. But when I'm sober, I'm not a fan of karaoke because when it comes to my singing voice and that kind of thing, I'm very particular and I'm a perfectionist and I'm not a singer, so I'm just like, no, I'm not a fan of it. And finally, this one night, everyone's egging me on to do it. And the producer, Brandon Bowden, comes over to me and he says, listen, you are going to sing tonight, whether you like it or not. I'm going to put in a song for you. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's going to be a horrible choice. And guess what, buddy? You're going to have to sing it anyway. And I went, crap. Because I knew he wasn't bluffing, folks. If there's one thing the producer, Brandon Bowden, does, it's he pushes me and he checks me because he is one of my best friends. So he knows me. He knows, me, in some ways more than I do know myself. So he knew I was just being a bitch. And he basically kind of forced me to do it. And I said, okay, if you're going to force me to do this, at least let me pick the damn song. And I picked the song, Far From Home by Five Finger Death Punch. Good time. I killed it. I absolutely ruined the song. But I digress, because I did it. And afterwards, I had this feeling of accomplishment. I said, oh, I feel like I can take on the world. Yeah. And it's that feeling that from when I'm explained about people who are into roller coasters and who are adrenaline junkies and so forth, that's the feeling they get. It's this feeling of excitement and of, I feel like I can take on the world, and I feel like I can, run a marathon and win, and I can literally fight everyone in the room, and I do okay, and that kind of thing. And I can so understand that. I can understand why that makes you happy, and why that gives you joy, and why people are always kind of, I guess, chasing that. I don't want to call it a high, but chasing that feeling of, I want to feel this way because this is an awesome feeling. And I totally get that. I get that from just accomplishing things and that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. Maybe I'm crazy, guys. I don't know. But I can completely understand it. I really can, as to why people are into that kind of thing. All right, guys, just want to take a quick second here to give a big shout out to the first ever sponsor and big time supporter of the Hotter Show, my man, Mr. Jason Reese over at Jaybird Digital Arts. Now, what exactly does Jason do? Well, if you guys need any kind of logos, t-shirts, posters, album design, tickets, photo manipulation, you guys still with me? Advertising, business stationery, mailers, brochures, fine art, and literally anything else you can think of, Jaybird Digital Arts can create it. No project is just a generic template, and every single job is a new opportunity to create something unique. Jason's done all the Hotter Show logos, t-shirts, banners, and even a meme here and there, so I can promise you that you will love and be inspired by what Jason comes up with. You can find him on the web at www.jaybird, that's Jaybird, digitalarts.com. Or you can find him on Facebook under the Jaybird Digital Arts handle, as well as on Instagram. If you happen to use his services, be sure to let him know that TJ sent you. There is something that I really can't understand. And that's, why are people, I get why they're adrenaline junkies, I get why they chase that feeling. But why are people so obsessed, not necessarily with that, but taking it a step further? Why are people obsessed with just taking a crazy amount of risks, daredevils and people who are into, it's one thing. It's like, hey, I race motocross. Okay, cool. Then you say, oh, well, I'm going to take my bike and I'm going to jump it off this building and try and land on another building. And I'm like, wait, what? People are into tightrope walking, or people who are into, base jumping with just a wing chute and no parachute, or stuff like that, people who are into, even in some ways, into pain, I guess. I don't know. It just, I don't get it, because I'm not like that. People who like to jump out of planes, I mentioned earlier. I don't get that. If there's one thing I can say, folks, is you are never, ever going to hear the words come out of my mouth, hey guys, just got back from skydiving. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. My ass is not going to get up in a plane and jump out. The only way that's happening is if you either throw my ass out or I have no other option. If I'm on a plane and it's about to go down in flames, okay, guess I'm going to jump out of the damn plane with a parachute. No questions asked. But I'm not going to voluntarily get in the plane. I'm not going to, okay, here's what really gets me about it, is there are people who pay like a good chunk of money to jump out of a plane. And I mean, obviously I understand why they're paying for it and shit like that. I totally get that. But I'm like, damn, like, I don't know. It's crazy to me, and maybe I'm crazy to them, but why would you pay all this money to have some guy take you up on his plane, give you one or two parachutes, which when you get down to it are pieces of fabric, okay, with some rope. I know that it's a little more expensive than that, but just hear me out. And you're going to get in this guy's plane and you're going to jump out. You have your parachute, okay, and you have your backup parachute. Now, let's say for a moment you're doing your thing and you're, oh, this is amazing, I feel so alive. And it's like, oh, time to pull my chute. Whoosh. Oh, shit. That one didn't work. Okay, let's try again. Oh, my backup chute's gone. Then you go, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to die. It's just... now, I know that the odds of this actually happening are like 1 in a million. Okay? I cannot off the top of my head think of a skydiving accident where someone actually died. I just can't. I'm sure there's enough of them, but you don't hear about that. So to me, that's crazy. I think I'm having flashbacks. This is really random, but I'm having flashbacks. Maybe this is why I hate skydiving so much. Aside from the obvious reasons. I'm having flashbacks to a King of the Hill episode. That's right, King of the Hill, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful show. I wish it was still on the air. One of my favorite TV shows of all time. We'll talk about that another day. And in this episode, Hank and Peggy, and probably some other people, I can't recall, went up in this plane, and they were going to skydive. And Hank skydived, and of course he loved it. Everything went off without a hitch, and he's like, oh, God, you got to try it, Peggy. Peggy's up on the plane, and she's not doing it. She's not having it. And basically, Hank basically orders her to jump out of the plane. Not actually orders her, but he's like, oh, you need to do this. You need to do this. So she does it. She jumps with the instructor or whatever. You know, they're doing this and she feels amazing. And he's like, okay, pull your chute. She pulls her chute. Nothing happens. Emergency chute. Pulls the emergency one and nothing happens. And then she falls and she falls and she falls and smack right on the ground in a field of mud. She hits the ground. And, you know, Hank runs over and long story short, she's paralyzed. Obviously she could have died and so forth. And maybe this is why I don't like skydiving. Maybe this is why I think it's crazy because, like, you know, there was like the rest of the season, Peggy's like in a wheelchair and she can't walk and she could regain her ability to walk, but maybe not. Who knows? All this other stuff happens. So that's irrelevant. But that's what I flash back to when someone mentions skydiving. I think of that. I think of Peggy Hill falling out of the sky. And I'm like, why are people into this? And I also think of, and this is just ridiculous now, I'm also thinking of the Family Guy episode where Peter becomes obsessed with skydiving. I don't know why my brain's going here, but I'm running with it, folks. Segway City, bitch. And you know, he gets obsessed with jumping out of planes, and he's like, you know, Lois has dinner ready, and she calls him, hey, is dinner ready yet? Yeah, where are you? I can't hear you. Okay, put the chair a little to the left. And he, like, you know, he parachutes through their ceiling and lands on Meg. And it's just like, it's just great. But why I'm thinking of it is he, you know, he's like falling through the sky, and, you know, he pulls his suit a little too late, and he lands and he gets guillotined in his ass, like on like I think it's like a church chapel thing. And it's just like, I'm like, man, like that could happen. And I know that's not going to happen, but that's just where my brain goes. So maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the issue. I don't know. But if you're into skydiving and you've skydived before, let me know. Hit me up. Be like, yo, TJ, you're a bitch. Here's why. Skydiving is safe. Here's blah, 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 blah. I feel like if I ever did it, I'd need to be strapped to someone else, you know? And maybe it'd make me feel better. I don't know. But either way, if you're into that kind of thing, obviously I'm not going to judge anybody. If you're into being, you know, jumping out of a plane or whatever, that's great. That's fine. Right on. Do your thing. I'm just not into it. I'm not into adrenaline junkie stuff. I'm not into risking my life. I'm not into roller coasters and base jumping and bungee jumping. Oh, bungee jumping. I almost bungee jumped once. And it was just, yeah, the sound the bungee made when it like pulled back, I couldn't do it. I was like, no, I refuse. I remember watching a video of this slingshot ride at, I think it was Canada's Wonderland. You know, the one where they put you in like this little ball thing and then you have to pull the, you got to pull the like little lever thing and it like lets you guys go and you like bounce back and forth. It's a great fun ride. And there's that video of, I don't know if it's actually Canada's Wonderland or where it was, but of the one rope that like basically stops you from being flung across the world where it like broke off as they pulled it. I see that and I'm like, hey, no, because you know what, guys? I'm a very unlucky person when it comes to stuff like that, okay? I'm a very lucky person in the sense of my actual personal life. I mean, holy crap. Have you met my girlfriend? I'm a pretty lucky guy, you know? I got nothing to complain about. When it comes to stuff like that, I'm a very unlucky person. I'm the kind of guy who, wrong place at the wrong time a lot. I'd be the guy you hear about, like the guy who, bad luck Brian. That's me. Bad luck TJ. That's me to a T. It just straight up. I'm the guy who, the bungee is going to snap because it just will. The parachute's not going to open. There's going to be a malfunction with the ride and I'm going to die. Or it's just what happens to me. I'm a very unlucky person. I don't know if I broke a mirror years ago or something, but I'm a very unlucky person. So maybe that's another reason why I don't like doing stuff like that. But I'm going to kind of get off of that because I have another thing I want to talk about that I mentioned earlier. But if you are into that kind of thing, let me know. Talk to me. Whatever. Maybe you can change my mind. I don't know. If Sam can't change my mind, I doubt anyone else can. Real quick, zip lining is not an adrenaline junkie sport. Someone said that to me once, and I was just like, no. Ziplining is not like that. If you like ziplining, right on, brah. Go ziplining. I don't. I think it's just... I went ziplining a whole bunch when I was younger. And I mean, I get the appeal. I'm just not a fan of it. Is what it is. But please don't call it an adrenaline junkie sport because it's just not the same thing, guys. I'm sorry, but it's just not. So I mentioned earlier about something else that's kind of not really on this topic, but kind of is, I guess, at the same time. People who like to take risks and so forth and are adrenaline junkies to a certain point are generally the kind of people who also love to literally get the crap scared out of them. And, they may do this by watching horror movies. They may do this by going to haunted houses, or they may do this by going to legit haunted houses and stuff and things like that. And that's fine. That's great. I know horror movies are a very popular thing. I know that a lot of people love horror movies, and right on. That's amazing. Like I said a few podcasts ago there, guys, do what makes you happy and screw everyone else. Do what you want. Me personally, not a fan. Not a fan at all. Let me explain. I do not like horror movies. Not necessarily because it all comes back to this thing here, folks. Maybe I am a bitch. Maybe I'm a big scaredy cat. Maybe I'm a big chicken. I don't know. I find them really lame, guys. I don't know. And not lame in the sense of people like, oh, that wasn't even scary. No. When I sit down to watch a movie or watch a TV show or something like that, play a video game, whatever, I'm looking to be entertained and pass the time. When I sit down to watch a movie, I either want to feel something good, I want to think, I want to laugh harder than I've ever laughed before. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to second guess stuff. I don't want to hear something go bang and go, oh my God, what was that? It's this coming to kill me or whatever. I'm just not a fan of it, I think they're predictable. I think just once you've seen a few horror movies, you've seen them all. It's just not for me. I'm not a fan. I have what I describe myself as a very hyperactive imagination. I see and hear things that aren't there all the time. So me watching horror movies, you can imagine, is not a very fun experience for me. Because something that is designed to mess with your head, it's not going to mess with my head for the entirety of the movie. It's going to mess with my head for months on end afterwards, okay? Something even that some people would find stupid. It's going to literally mess with my head for months, maybe even years, guys. And again, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm a big bitch. Whatever. It doesn't matter. My point is, I do not like them because I do think a lot of them are lame, and it just fucks with me. like big time. Even talking about it right now to you guys, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of messing with me. Just a little bit. And I mean, it's funny because I start thinking about them and I'm like, oh, this stupid movie, haha. And then it does what it's supposed to do and it scares the shit out of me. And it works. So maybe I do enjoy them because it gives me that feeling of, being scared, and I'm thinking of the creature or whatever the fuck, and I'm thinking of the ghost or whatever's going on. And it messes with me. There are movies I have watched that still to this day mess with me. I'm the kind of person who, if I watch something like that, it's just going to mess me up, guys. So as I'm recording this podcast, I'm not even going to lie to you guys right now. Just talking about this topic, I'm hearing things in my headphones now. Like, I'm not even kidding you right now. So it's kind of funny how that works, having the hyperactive imagination and so forth. It messes with me. I know I'm a grown-ass man. I'm a 25-year-old man, and I should not be scared of such things, and that these things are not real and blah, 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 blah. But it just is what it is, and I hate it. So I avoid them at all costs. Of course, my wonderful girlfriend is a huge fan of horror movies, and again, that sucks for me because I want to like them, and I can't pretend that I do. And that's okay. I think it's okay to have stuff that both of you don't necessarily enjoy. You know what I mean? It's okay. Hey, Sam's not a big fan of metal music. That's fine. Sam's not a big fan of Family Guy and stuff like that, and that's fine. Sam's not a big fan of some of the video games I like, and that's great. That's fine. I'm not a big fan of some of the TV shows she likes. I'm not a fan of horror movies and stuff. That's fine. It's great. It's what makes the world go around, guys. The general thing I'm trying to get at here is I don't like them. And there's a lot of reasons why I don't like them. And even having Sam liking them and me trying to like them just doesn't work. So maybe it's something wrong with me. I think it all comes back to my hyperactive imagination, but I'm not a fan of them. But the thing that makes me laugh is the fact that I love, creepy music. Now, when I say that, I don't mean creepy music in the sense of music in horror movie things or anything like that. I mean, I'll be listening to a song and Sam will go, that song is so creepy. Why do you like that? And I'm like, 'cause it's creepy. She's like, but you don't like horror movies. And I'm like, I don't freaking know. It's weird, guys. I can't explain it. I love horror video games. I shouldn't say I love them, but I do enjoy them. Silent Hill, old Resident Evil, stuff like that, especially the Silent Hill games. Silent Hill 4, The Room, messed with my stuff. Okay, guys? It still messes me to this day. I'm not even joking. So definitely check that game out if you are into that kind of thing. It will mess you up big time. But it's funny, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I need to open my mind, change myself. Maybe I need to stop being such a big bitch or whatever. I don't know. But I'm just not a fan of it, guys. I don't think that makes me a bad person. I don't think that means I'm a wimp. I don't think that means I'm a big scaredy cat or whatever. I mean, I know I am, but I don't know. It's just not what I'm into. Sam loves to scare me. And when she does, it virtually ends my life every single time. And it's the funniest thing. And I would eventually love to put up a clip of her scaring me a bunch of times on the YouTube. And I'm going to try and do that because I think it's hilarious. So I like the fact that it makes her laugh when I get scared. Because she's like, oh my God, you're such a big baby. So, hey, it's cool. It's good. It makes me laugh. But, maybe I am just the weird one, guys. Maybe I just need to get over it. I don't know. But either way, I don't judge anyone for liking them. I really don't, Do what makes you happy. Do what you love, guys. That's all I'm getting at here. And I don't love and like horror movies, and I don't like the idea of jumping out of a plane. I don't like roller coasters. So I do me. You do you. We still be friends. Does that make sense? Kind of, I guess. I don't know. Again, guys, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But if there's one thing I am absolutely certain of, guys, is that I am thankful I am extremely thankful that you guys took the time today to come hang out with me while I kind of ramble on and rant on about this topic that I was on my mind today to talking about roller coasters and why I'm not a fan of them, and adrenaline junkie type things and horror movies and all that kind of fun stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys got some laughs out of it. I think it's something I know a lot of people can relate to, but I know also some people are going to go, what? Really? Like, how can you not like this kind of stuff? I don't know. Like I said, guys, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know, but it's just not for me. So, but I tell you something that is very much for me, doing this podcast. That is something that is definitely for me. And again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to come hang out with me today, no matter what you are doing, no matter how you are listening. If you are listening on the SoundCloud, then be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to leave some comments if you got some stuff you want to say. You want to have some answers for some of the questions I asked, or you guys want to comment on my fears, I guess, if you will. And just talk about your experience and that kind of thing with roller coasters maybe, and that kind of thing. If you've ever jumped out of a plane, let me know in the comment section. And also be sure to hit that subscribe button if you are also on the SoundCloud. If you are listening on the YouTube, be sure to leave a like or dislike on this video depending on what you thought of it. And also comment your life away here. I will always respond to all the comments. Sometimes I'm a little late seeing them, but I will always respond to all the comments. And of course, last but absolutely not least, if you guys are listening on the iTunes, which you know is the easiest way to listen to The Harder Show, then be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you are kept up with everything that goes on with The Harder Show, everything I update on there. Once you hit that subscribe button, you don't even have to think about it. Everything is automatically downloaded the second it is uploaded onto the iTunes. You guys don't even have to think about it. You'll just pull up your device every Thursday and Sunday and go, oh, new Harder Show. Cool, right on. And you can listen to it. Don't even think twice about it. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, maybe leave a little rating for The Harder Show. Maybe, do your boy a favor. I always appreciate it. And if you do, be sure to leave your name so that I know who you are, that I know who to thank. You just do that by leaving a little comment as well. So, and it doesn't have to be a 5-star rating. If you don't think it's a 5-star show, don't leave a 5-star rating. I'd rather you be brutally honest with me and tell me I suck than lie to me. So, but that's gonna do it for me here today, guys. Thank you so much again for tuning in, clicking that play button, and I will catch you guys next time on The Harder Show. Take it easy.